Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners meeting. It is Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023. It is 2:02 p.m. and I'm calling this meeting to order. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my left is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my right is, yes. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom is County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell and Clerk of the Board Jamie Caldwell. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Menser.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. Vice Chair Menser, would you like to do a land acknowledgement, sir?
Thank you. We would also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the Indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and cared for the land and waterways of this county since time immemorial, and who still inhabit the area today. Specifically, the Squaxin Island, Nisqually, and Chehalis people, our sovereign tribal partners. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and remember history as a stepping stone towards healing.
Thank you. Next is the approval of the Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023 agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the proposed agenda for Tuesday, May 2nd, 2023.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. The agenda is approved. We have two presentations today. We'll start with the first one, which is Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month Proclamation.
Good afternoon. I think we have members of our community related to this proclamation. If you can come to the podium, please introduce yourself. And if you'd like to say a few words, that will be appreciated.
Yeah, I'm not exactly tall. Okay, here we go. Okay, my name is Bob Nakamura, and I represent the Olympia chapter of the Japanese American Citizens League, and I also am a treasurer for the Olympia Kato Sister Cities group. And my JCO group, what we do is we take care of things that's under the civil rights, cultural diversity, that kind of thing, mainly towards the Japanese, but we take care of everybody else as well. And I also, like I mentioned, represent the Olympia Kato Sister Cities group, and what we do, we have a delegation of adults and students that go over to Kato, Japan, just to do things at the local city, to talk about things that we do here in Olympia or around in the area, and vice versa. With the folks that come over here, they talk about things that goes on in Kato, Japan, and we also have tours and practically everything you can think of that has to do with both communities. So yeah, we try to do everything that we can to make sure everybody has a good time and show them a lot about both places and culture. So that's basically it right there. Oh, I also sit on the multicultural diversity group with the North Thurston School District. So same thing there. Represent a lot of the folks who are diverse in the community, and we mainly practically have a lot of folks that's from the Philippines, Korea, Vietnam, practically every place you can think of right there in Asia. So, and that's something we take care of for all the kids that attend schools. So, and that's where I fall in at. Okay, I don't have anything else unless somebody has questions for me. So,
Bob, you're also with the American Legion, aren't you?
yes, sir. That's right.
You're going to full play. Thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and he's right. I represent the American Legion plus the veterans of foreign wars. So, take care of veterans as well. So, okay. I don't have anything else unless somebody else has questions or from the audience or anything like that. And I'm more than glad to talk to anybody and everybody. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
thank you.
Hello, or as we say in the islands of Chuuk, Rananim. I'm Joylene Hazer, originally from Chuuk, Micronesia in the Pacific Islands, and I'm with the Asian Pacific Islanders Coalition of South Puget Sound. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have to comment,
Lynn?
please.
Hi, everyone, and I'm so delighted to be here with all of you. And let me introduce myself first. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Lynn Crowley, and I'm with the Asian Pacific Islanders Coalition, South Puget Sound. I'm one of the co-chairs, and also serving with me is Brian Locke, who cannot join us today in person, but I believe he probably will see the video recording later. But anyway, I wanted to take this opportunity to just say welcome to May, which is ANHPI Heritage Month. And as all of you may know, that our state has become a state that recognizes May as ANHPI month way back by Governor Inslee. And now we actually are renaming it as AAPI instead of the original AAPI month. And before that was AAPI week. So for those of you who may not necessarily know that part of the histories, I'd like to get this opportunity to just share that with you. I truly appreciate having the opportunity to address all of you, as well as thanking the county for proclaiming May as ANHPI month. And we are very grateful for having all of us to be part of this big families of very diverse AAPI organization, as well as the community members. And we hope that we will continue sharing our beautiful cultures of many different kinds with the community. So I actually brought over today some flyers for a big event that we are going to hold in May, which is May 20th. And it's going to be held at the Olympia Center, and everyone is welcome. So I wanted to use this opportunity to invite all of you for joining us for this celebration. Thank you. And do you like me to say anything else? I do apologize for being a little bit late. So I just want to make sure if there's anything I may be able to do to help answer any questions, I'll be happy to.
You were right on time, Lynn.
Can do a photo?
Perfect.
What's the new acronym you had? You said that the acronym's been changed,
Yeah, because it used to be just Asian American Heritage Month, and then it became Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. But more recently, through Governor Inslee, it's now changed to AANHPI, which recognize Asian American, Native Hawaiians, and the Pacific Islanders. So I wanted to use this opportunity to share that a little bit with everybody too. It has gone through a little bit change.
All right, I just want to make sure I got that middle age. That's good.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, with that, is the board ready to read the proclamation, or is there any comments?
Well, Being Commissioner Menser gets to do all the talking, I'll just say thank you for coming.
Here we go. Thurston County Proclamation, Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month was first celebrated for 1 week by President Jimmy Carter, then expanded to 1 month by President George H.W. Bush, and signed into law in 1992. And whereas the month of May was selected to commemorate the arrival of the first known Japanese immigrant to the United States on May 7th, 1843, and to honor the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10th, 1869. And whereas Washington State has been home to generations of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders for more than 200 years, contributing greatly to the government, businesses, arts, sciences, medicines, education, and military. And whereas we acknowledge Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is marked by deeply rooted history, including both proud and painful chapters and the challenges of institutional and systemic injustices. And whereas this year's theme, Advancing Leaders Through Opportunity, focuses on the efforts in advancing AIPI community members into leadership positions in the federal and DC government. And whereas through providing advancement opportunities, organizations can reduce the barriers to professional progression and consequently reduce employee turnover and increase satisfaction. A successful organization invests in its employees' professional development by providing opportunities that enable the employees to refine their skills and enhance their leadership abilities. And whereas Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have shared their traditions and rich culture while representing their communities through public service for all citizens. And whereas we commit to the recognition of all Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders in Thurston County and the nation, and to providing comprehensive support to this community, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners hereby proclaims May 2023 as Asian American and Pacific Islander Month in Thurston County, and encourages all citizens to celebrate the accomplishments and sacrifices that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made. Adopted this second day of May 2023 by the Board of County Commissioners.
Thank you.
Please come to the front.
You need to get a mugshot. And hey Bob, I gotta put on my hat or they won't know us apart.
Thank you.
Yeah, come on, get right in there.
I'll coordinate with
Okay.
them to. Can we get like 2 more copies of the proclamation later? Thank you. We have a second presentation today, and it's Bike to Work Month proclamation.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This is the opportunity for the board to proclaim the month of May as Bike to Work Month in Thurston County. We have Bruce Rohrbach from our staff here. And also, we have Duncan Green join us via Zoom to accept this proclamation. Bruce?
Hello, Bruce Rohrbach, Fleet Services Manager. Unlike Chris Hawkins, last year I do not have the helmet and reflective gear for the proclamation, but I'm happy to be here. It is Bicycle Community Challenge Month. Duncan Green will address you from Intercity Transit. This is a great event. We're up to year 36. There's a great record of participation by Thurston County commuters in a great program that promotes health and environmentally sound transportation. Duncan?
Hi, everybody. For the record, I am Duncan Green, and I represent Intercity Transit and the Thurston County Bicycle Community Challenge, which is our local celebration of National Bike Month. So thank you, commissioners, for proclaiming May as Bicycle Month in Thurston County. And as Bruce just said, we're in our 36th consecutive year. Bicycle Community Challenge is the longest running bike challenge in our whole region. So yeah, for over 3.5 decades, the BCC has been encouraging people to use a bike for some of their transportation needs instead of driving. And now for the second year in a row, we've opened up the challenge to all kinds of bike rides. Anyone in our community going anywhere for any reason can log their rides in the Bicycle Community Challenge, just to encourage them to enjoy health and benefits, other benefits from riding a bike, both individually and as a community. So, of course, we hope that recreational riding can open the door for some people to try riding for transportation as well. Bicycling for health and fun is beneficial to the individual and community health and well-being, and riding a bike to get around only increases those benefits. So this year's theme for the BCC, which is, there's a new theme every year, and this year is it has a mascot, which is a great horned owl, and the slogan is "Who is going to ride today?" Just to bring a little levity to the event, along with the other benefits of riding a bike. And just a little update on our various events that we do have this sort of flagship event in the month of May, but we also have a couple of other events leading up to it. We have the Winter Bicycle Challenge for the month of February, and 379 people participated in that event this year, which was a record, even though February was not that nice this year. And then our kickoff for the May event is the Earth Day Market Ride, which happened last Saturday. And over 130 people turned out for that ride, and we had a great time. And in the Bicycle Community Challenge so far, on day 2 of the BCC for 2023, I'm just looking on my other screen at the results, and so far, over 180 people have logged rides, nearly 2,000 miles so far in the first 2 days. So I'm pretty excited about how things are going so far this year. We have over 40 local and regional sponsors supporting the BCC, with everything from donating prize items, offering discount coupons and free passes, and support for our events, and even running their own parallel challenges in-house, and just lots more. So we have lots of great prizes and an amazing community support. So don't disappoint the Great Horned Owl, and ride in the BCC this May to celebrate our 36th year of promoting bicycling in Thurston County. It's easy to participate as an individual or as a member of a team. Just go to our website, bcc.intercitytransit.com, to sign up or log into an existing account if you've done it before. And feel free to reach out to me at any time if you have questions. My email is dgreen@intercitytransit.com, and I'm happy to answer any questions that anyone might have now as well.
Thank you, Duncan. Any questions from the board? Commissioner Edwards? Questions?
No, but I
comments?
live too far away to bike. I do bike once in a while.
It can log your rides even if you're not going anywhere in particular. So
Okay, Mr. Green,
Before I lived in Thurston County, I lived in Fairbanks, Alaska, and there were, in 20 and 30 below weather, there were bicycle commuters, and the bike shops would winterize your bike by changing out the lubricants to things that didn't freeze, and there were studded tires, bike tires they'd put on your bike, and I wasn't part of that crowd, but don't let bad weather deter you. You can commute to work on your bike in any weather, so I encourage you to, hopefully we'll have good weather this May, but the rainy weather is, could be worse.
I always love, the Bike to Work month in May. It just, especially for school children, it's really promoted out and at least in our school. And so I know it's a day that my daughter's also very excited about, although, we have to wake up earlier than what we usually do to bike to school, but it's also like something she really looks forward to doing because it really is encouraged with all the students and we see several families going through. So very excited to participate again this year. So thank you, Duncan.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
And I'm ready for a proclamation when yours.
Okay, Thurston County Proclamation for Bike to Work Month. Whereas bicycle commuting reduces energy consumption, pollution, and congestion, and is one of the most energy efficient forms of transportation ever invented. And whereas bicycling is a mode of transportation well suited to urban environments where trips are short in length and overly congested roads are difficult and costly to expand. And whereas bicycling makes people healthier and more productive, prevents chronic diseases through physical activity, and supports physical, emotional, and mental well-being. And whereas Thurston County supports alternatives to inefficient drive-alone trips by building bicycle facilities and participating in the Wheel Options Commute Trip Reduction Campaign. And whereas Intercity Transit, with sponsors including many area businesses and organizations, is hosting the 36th Annual Bicycle Community Challenge during the month of May 2023. Therefore, be it resolved, the Board of Thurston County Commissioners does hereby proclaim May 2023 as Bicycle and Bike to Work Month in Thurston County, and in recognition of Earth Day, National Bike Month, and Clean Air Month, encourages all citizens to put forth their best effort to reduce single occupant motor vehicle trips to reduce air pollution, energy consumption, and traffic congestion. Adopted this second day of May 2023 by the Board of County Commissioners.
Are we taking Bruce's picture or what's going on?
Bruce. Duncan, sorry that you cannot be on the picture.
We'll run this over to Intercity, Duncan.
Great. Thank you.
We can go stand by the screen. Did you have to work today?
I did.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah.
Pull up here. Okay, good luck.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you. Okay, that will conclude our presentations for today. Next on the agenda is an opportunity for the public to address the board. The Board of Thurston County Commissioners welcomes comments from the public. However, there are some guidelines governing such comments to ensure they are appropriate and do not take advantage of the fact that most meetings are televised. The general speaking guidelines are as follows. Please introduce yourself, including the address you reside in the county. Please address the board, not the audience or staff. Please silence your cell phones for those members in the boardroom. Speakers are limited to a total of 4 minutes to address the board. Meeting attendees cannot donate their speaking time to another person. No comments that are lewd and offensive, inflammatory, hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory in nature. Please be respectful. No outburst of any kind. No comments that are commercial in nature, such as promotion of a for-profit business. And all materials provided to the county may be considered public records, subject to public release upon request, pursuant to the Public Records Act, Chapter 4256 of the RCW. And no remarks about pending land use permits or similar matters that could eventually come before the board and appeal. Thank you so much for your cooperation. We'll start up with members that have signed up on the sign-up sheet, and then if you didn't get a chance to sign up, then I will let you come in and provide public comment towards after the people who have signed up, and then we will move on to Zoom, where the county manager will assist me in calling out the names. So first person I have on the sign-up sheet is Brian Moorhead.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Brian Muirhead. I live at 6527 Alternate Lane, Southeast, with my wife Nancy. I'm here as a member of a significant group of citizens who are seeking to establish a quiet zone at the Atchison Road crossing. Specifically, David Nightingale and I will be describing some data that we've gathered and provided, and our views on four specific topics. The first topic is a quiet zone program, and we understand you've been discussing this and made a decision, and the idea of a case-by-case approach versus a program. We'll also talk about the risks associated with quiet zones in general, what are the likely costs, and about the equity issue that was raised in last week's issue, which we recognize as an important issue. Relative to a quiet zone program, the way we've looked at this is that trains have been running, of course, around the country and around the world for well over 100 years. But the horn rule that has caused issues for us has only been in existence since 2007. There are only 8 local jurisdictions in the state of Washington that have quiet zones. And all of these quiet zones are places in which there's a significant amount of train traffic, somewhere between 16 and 46 trains over that range of crossings. Our takeaway is that quiet zones have not been implemented unless there's a significant amount of train traffic and related train noise. Therefore, we strongly agree, support the decision that you made earlier today that a program is not needed. But our perspective is that the particular case of Thurston County is there are only 9 crossings on the BNSF main line, which has 44 trains crossing with horns honking day and night. Our view is that of those 2 crossings, there are only 2 in which there's a significant population around the crossing, and that it's in an urban growth area. Those 2 are Marvin Road, in which there's a very high amount of traffic, 4,000 cars passing at 50 miles an hour every day, and Atchison Road, which is a no outlet road, of which there's only about an average of 130 cars a day, generally at about 20 miles per hour. So we believe strongly it is still very appropriate to consider a quiet zone at Atchison Road. The idea of a case-by-case policy could be considered, in which you would establish that based on a noise issue associated with the number of trains, the impact of the number of people that are affected, and their quality of life. Atchison Road is further unique in the sense because the crossing is over a trestle that is on a lake, and the sound that we experience around the lake and by the communities around the entire area is a significant area that experiences a very high sound level many times a day. So relative to risk, we understand risk is the product of liability and consequence. So we'll talk just a bit about the accident liability or probability, and we understand some new work has been done on the liability issue. The Federal Railroad Administration calculates the likelihood of an accident at all their crossings across the country. The probability of an accident at the Atchison Road crossing is a probability value of 0.017. That's one accident every approximately 60 years. It's a very low probability. It's even made lower by creating a quiet zone because it actually makes the crossing safer. So we believe that there's a very low likelihood of an accident occurring at that crossing, quiet zone or no. Now, relative to the liability question, we understand that the risk
Please
manager...
wrap it up, sir. 4
Pardon me?
minutes. Please wrap it up. You have your 4 minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Very quickly, we understand your risk manager has actually talked to the 8 jurisdictions that have quiet zones, 7 of which are in city zones, and somehow they have covered the liability. That implies to us that insurance is possible, and then the issue of how the county might manage the liability would be a change in policy and an associated premium. And we understand that's something we'd like to continue to work with you on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Nancy Muirhead. Okay. Vicki Salzberg. David Nightingale.
Thank you, Commissioners. David Nightingale, 7640 Fair Oaks Road. So I'm going to finish the presentation of the slide deck you've already got, and we were made aware of some of the earlier deliberations that you've had, and understand I was a little surprised we weren't on the agenda, but to understand that this is a public comment period only at this time. And we've been working on this issue since 2021. So a year and a half or so, we will continue to work until there doesn't seem to be any possible path forward. And we will continue to work with your staff and with you individually and in open meetings to helpfully resolve this, however it's going to come out. So we're hopeful that we'll still get to a quiet zone. There's been some cost suggested, and that will be determined at some point if you decide that your staff will be then doing a diagnostic review at that site. And we're not there, obviously, now based on your earlier decision. Unless you decide to have that go forward. We're planning to bring you additional information and analysis, including a little bit today. And wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about the equity issue. You know, I'm not a demographic expert and can tell you exactly, you know, the demographics of each person in the household at or near the crossing. But just doing a quick review, you know, I've property that I live on there. We've owned for, you know, decades, and just thinking about who's around the lake or close to it, because the noise doesn't stop at the shoreline. Matter of fact, it doesn't even care about property boundaries. It keeps on going for like hundreds of feet into the neighboring houses, and there are some places we think are disadvantaged communities, lower income folks that are heavily impacted, and some of those I know are signing the petition because I went out and did the petitioning. There's Lakeside Villa Trailer Park. We counted 50 plus homes there. Biana Court Southeast, 48 homes. That's right at the crossing. Fair Oaks Loop has about 62 homes. That's right behind my house. Steamer Drive, which is right next to the railroad train station and close to the crossing. Also others are on Rumac Extension, Rumac Road, Carpenter Extension, and others. So we believe there's, it's not just the people that can afford to live on the lake. People across the street from them are neighbors, and they are affected, and they are not all people with great means or you know, a lack of disadvantage any other way. So we think the equity issue can be looked at more in detail. We'd be happy to take you guys tours around and show you the whole neighborhood, not just the people that live on the lake, and work with you and however we can try to figure out what the population that's heavily impacted is on that. And I guess the other thing I want to just say is that we do recommend that at some point, hopefully soon, that you will initiate a diagnostic review with your Public Works, and we've been working with them since January of 2022 on this issue. And if you do that, we'd like to have myself and Brian and maybe one or two other people as part of that group as community members on that team. Also the liability issue, we'd like to, you know, try to do some more homework on that and figure out what kind of path forwards there may be on that as well. And I have 4 seconds, so I guess I'm about done. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next is Jessica Spellwig.
Do it. Yep. Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Jessica DeWitt. Address is 7641 Atchison Drive. Thanks for taking time to hear our testimony today. I'm also here to talk about quiet zones. And yes, we did hear, you know, you guys did some work on this earlier. I wanted to talk a little bit to try to demonstrate a bit about how impactful a quiet zone for this particular crossing would be, and just reinforce that we hope to continue working with the board to pursue a diagnostic review and as a next step toward a quiet zone on a case-specific basis for this particular crossing. So looking at countywide data, average train traffic crossings, I guess, for crossings in Thurston County is 8. So most crossings have 8 or fewer trains per day. And as Brian mentioned, this crossing is 44. So every train is required to sound their horn 4 times when they cross. So that's 168 horns that residents are hearing per day at this crossing. When I was a kid, I lived on a street with a railroad crossing, and I lived about a half mile down the road. And I remember faintly hearing the horns of the train. And, you know, if the wind was blowing toward the house, it would maybe be a little bit louder. Right now, my home is a quarter mile down the road from the train. And as Dave mentioned, you know, because of the unique situation where the trains are sounding as they're crossing the lake, it's basically like every home is directly adjacent to the train. And so I guess, and that's northbound trains. And then southbound trains, there is a, that are directly adjacent to where that horn sounds. So we're talking more than 300 homes that are essentially directly adjacent to a train horn. Those horns are allowed to sound at 110 decibels, I think is the maximum. And I would encourage you all to do some research to hear what 110 decibels sound like. You know, when there's no barriers to drop that sound, you hear 110 decibels. It's been measured at my house a quarter mile down the road at, I think, 108 decibels. You know, it makes it, you can't have an outdoor conversation. Virtual work is impacted. You know, it's hard to have meetings in the house when train horns are sounding, and that's many, many times during the day. Nighttime sleep is impacted. If children are sleeping during the day, that's impacted. So these are all, you know, significant health and quality of life issues that are impacted by the train horns. Let's see, I wanted to talk about, you know, as Dave mentioned, there's a lot of additional homes that are adjacent to the lake that are also impacted, maybe a little bit less. Maybe they don't hear the 110 decibels like the Lakeside residents or the Brianna Court residents do, but they would still be significantly loud. So we could be looking at thousands of residents potentially that are impacted by this crossing that sees 44 trains per day. I think I just wanted to wrap up and say, you know, I urge the commissioners to see this as a unique case and an opportunity to make a positive impact on the health and quality of life for the 1,000+ residents that this crossing impacts dozens of times every day. Despite the direction not to pursue a countywide program, we really look forward to continuing to work with the commissioners to identify next steps in the quiet zone process for this highly impactful crossing. Thanks for your time.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question of the last speaker?
Sure.
What's the speed limit on your road there?
It's actually not posted, so I assume 25, is it 15? I
It
think
used to be 15.
the,
It might be up to 20 now.
I believe a study was done to see the average speed of vehicles crossing, and it was under 20 miles per hour.
Okay, more to come. Thank you.
Bob, do you want to provide public? You're next on my list, so I'm just wondering if you just signed up.
Oh, I thought it was just.
Oh, okay, okay.
No, I'm good.
Next is John Pettit.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is John Pettit, and I have to admit, I hate train whistles. But that is not really why I'm here, but I'm going to touch base on a couple minor details. I lived on Pattison Lake. I know the train particular spot that they're referring to. I also know one of the reasons that the county's considering not doing things is because there's cost associated. Perhaps you might want to incorporate a local improvement district, an LID of some type for the local area in order to deal with the cost. I live on Rich Road, and I get to hear the train every day, every night. But once again, with that issue, as much as I'd like to talk about how I should eliminate it, in fact, I thought about spending $30,000 years ago to try to find a way to get out of it. There is some private crossings just beyond where Rich Road is that also are necessary. And for those of us who have seen and known of issues of people dying from train wrecks, we appreciate the good crossing arms and everything that exist. Atkinson Road is certainly one that has a very, very limited line of vehicles that go in and out. And Atkinson Road probably is as good qualified as a spot. If you made it a private road, they could probably eliminate the problem, but it's a county road. So I think you should continue to consider possibilities, but I'm not going to ask you to do Rich Road, although it sure be nice. But on the other hand, I want my neighbors safe also. The real main reason I came in today has to do with my continuing saga dealing with the issue of REIT 1. And REIT 1 is the real estate excise tax for those who don't know. Unfortunately, in my review of the REIT 1 account, there is without any doubt that REIT 1 is going to go into a negative balance, which means you've spent more money than what we have, or obligated to more. I noticed a little sheet because they wanted to justify their actions for a 10-year plan. Well, one thing is they start showing that the Mottman building, you're purchasing it twice. They're not showing it as a repayment of the loan that you borrowed. They're showing it as an additional new purchase of the Mottman building. The data you have is false. You've been given that by your staff. They also show something referred to as an adjusting entry. You'll notice that there is no adjusting entry on the entire sheet except for the one for the year before that we're talking about in order to help boost up the alleged beginning fund balance. And that's where I get into the next question. When I was observing one of your meetings earlier about budget requests, I noticed that your two county managers asserted that it wouldn't be really reasonably possible for you to have monthly balances of what the fund balances are. Well, I called up the person who created the monthly fund balance for the sheet, and she asserted me she makes that out every single month. She makes it out. You were being lied to. And I presume the reason why is they don't want you to know that you're going to be going into the negative. You should not be going out of trust with an account that has a specific tax that goes to it. I'm going to ask that once you're confirmed that you've been lied to, you take appropriate action and you seek immediate dismissal of those people who participated in giving you false information. Thank you.
Next is Chris Menn.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Chris Maughan. My wife and I live at 7639 Atchison Drive, so we're sort of behind that Maginot line where the train in the neighborhood at the end of Atchison. And so we've lived there for almost 30 years, crossing daily for that entire time. And this is an entirely anecdotal, unscientific, but we definitely think there's been an increase in train traffic over the course of almost those 3 decades. And there certainly has been an increase in number of housing units in that area. So as the previous comments have indicated, there's been some real growth there. And it's in my entire 30 years there, I'm not aware of a single train vehicle collision occurring at that crossing. As has been mentioned, 110 decibels, 110 dB, that's like 10th row Led Zeppelin. So it is really loud, especially the way it carries across the lake. So I'm just here to support this very unique crossing is a special situation. I would just urge the commission to continue exploring options to make this quiet zone happen. Thank you, and go Kraken tonight.
Okay, and last on my list is Chris Stearns.
Howdy, folks. My name is Chris Stearns. I live at 2840 39th Lane Northwest, which is just above the Olympia Country Club on Cooper Point. I am the commissioner for District 3, same as Ty's, for the PUD. I'm also the board chair, which is what Carolina is, I guess, for my PUD at this time. I've served third term, this is my 15th year in office, 3 terms. We have 6-year terms. Anyway, I'm just here on 3 issues. I want to thank county staff for giving us a wonderful presentation last Friday on the Tri-Lakes water quality issues that they were trying to make us aware of. We have a system out there that we just recently purchased, is Pattison Lake, which I believe is part of the area these people are talking about. So it's now a PUD system. It's one of our largest ones, along with Tanglewild and Meadows, which is, I believe, in Gary's district or east side of the county. Anyway, the other 2 things that I have is I'd ask, as time has gone on, we are now one of the more medium-sized PUDs for water, not small anymore. 3/4 of our customers are in Thurston County. Due to the way we purchase them, we can't cherry pick just the ones in this county. So sometimes that gets us in trouble with the legislature. But what I will say is that we do have a lot of customers in this county, and we would like to build a better relationship with county government. I'm not satisfied with it. Every county I know has much better. Of course, they do electricity or other services like fiber, sewer, etc. And I would like to see a better relationship with the county in dealing with water resources. The county needs it, and growth is happening. And that goes to my 3rd point, which is the Grand Mound UGA area, which is set up, I think, to protect that aquifer. It doesn't have a city there. But it may, if it incorporates, I suppose. So could Rochester incorporate? I haven't seen it yet. But my point is that we have systems in that area, roughly about 350 customers, many in Group Bs, which are regulated solely by the county. The regulations for Group Bs, which are under 15 connections, no restaurant. The other systems we have are 25, which are Group As. They're better regulated by the state for obvious reasons, and one that's over 100 in that general area. And that aquifer is shallow, easy to pollute, and even Karen Frazier has stepped up and talked about this with the League of Women Voters on one of their recorded meetings since she left office. So I just hope that we can be included in this process of planning for that area, simply because we have water systems in the area. So does the county, I mean, with the Great Wolf Lodge and sewer systems. And maybe we can figure out a way to work together to the mutual benefit of our citizens and our constituents. We're trying to do the best job we can, consolidate more, get out of other counties, get more into Thurston County. And the county can be a good partner in that process if it wants to be. I'll leave it at that. I just here solely expressing my own opinion, not that of my board. We did have a strategic planning meeting today. So we're talking about the future and trying to work things towards. There are a lot of changes afoot. I did talk with Caitlin Nelson about the UGA, and she gave me, some perspective on where the county is at with all of those proposals, the 3 proposals to change the zoning, to include things in what she thought was happening. But I'd like to hear more. She was good too, by the way.
That's all I have on my sign-up sheet. Is there anyone else in the boardroom who didn't get to provide public comment that would like to do so at this time? Okay, we'll move on to Zoom.
Thank you. I will call you based on the order that I have in my Zoom screen. First, I have Jesse Simmons.
No comments from me, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Doug Adamson.
Hello there. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Doug Adamson, 7510 Fair Oaks Road. I live 1,900 feet from the crossing, and I'm here to share support for creation of the quiet zone, especially on a case-by-case basis. Really, this crossing is the reason why quiet zones exist. This is a low-volume, low-speed road. This is nothing like the Marvin Road. This is nothing like the Ridge Road. This is a sleepy country road. you have to have a reason to go down it. It's a dead end, and there's real no purpose for you to be down there unless you live down there. And for the BNSF main line, you can see down that thing for miles. It's a straight shot as you go through there. So supporting creation of the quiet zone on a case-by-case basis. It's an investment for safety and investment for the quality of life. And if you consider for the area, it also attracts a lot of people come in to boat, float, and fish as well too, and they hear that blaring noise as well. And you might be unaware, it's also inconsistent between each train. Some is much louder than the other, depending on the train. And really bolstering the existing system and upgrading it will just help increase safety and improve the quality of life. Hey, we support the railroad, what it does. I mean, that's the lifeblood of the economy. Takes trucks off the highway. At the same time, we also support a program where horns just aren't necessary. There are 13 others in the state of Washington. Let's make 14 here in Thurston County. And I would once again appreciate your formation of this specific quiet zone. And if y'all want to come over and have a conversation with me about it, I'd be happy to do that. I gave my address. You're welcome to come by. And let's hope the train doesn't come by while we're talking, because we won't be able to hear each other. That's all I have. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Kyle Busted. Next, I have Scott DeWitt.
Thank you. Scott DeWitt, I live at 7641 Atchison Lane. I'm here in support of the quiet zone. Happy to hear we're not going forward with an overall program, and we're looking at this by a case-by-case basis. I'd love to say that the crossing is not a thoroughfare, just as was just mentioned. My family lives on, as it was heard, the sleepy side of the tracks, and I'll call it the sleepy side of the tracks when the horns aren't sounding and the trains aren't blowing through. So as a community, we are limited. We're limited in growth. We know we are in the urban growth area, but on the far side of the track, we are limited to number of houses based on environmental, based on several different factors. It is not a growing area. It is limited. The number of cars, the number of people there is fixed. So as the county grows, as it gets denser in certain areas, just know this area on the side of the tracks is not, or currently does not look like it's going to grow. So again, here in support of continuing diagnostic, again, happy to hear that we're not going forward with the program, and I would love to continue to work with the county on a case-by-case basis. And this is what quiet zones were built for. This is the prime reason that those were put together by the Railroad Administration. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, I have Maria Machado. Next, I have Kimberly Grable. Staff. So that will conclude public testimony. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay. That will conclude public testimony. We'll move on to county manager's update.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I'd just like one update, and this is a celebration in a way. The county, particularly Public Works Department, has received the Certificate of Good Practice from the County Road Administration Board. This has been, this is a certificate the Public Works Department receives on a yearly basis and has been ongoing for many, many years. It may appear to be procedural in nature that we receive the certificate, but this is really a reflection of the activities, the practices, the Public Works exercises on a daily basis to maintain and protect, maintain the roadway system and protect the safety of our traveling residents. What this certificate of good practice does to the county is not just a simple certificate. This allows to continue to use gas tax dollars to continue to maintain the roadway system in Thurston County. I'd just like to say kudos to Public Works once again. Good job for the job well done. congratulations, and I think we have the interim county engineer here to receive the certificate. There you go, Matt. Congratulations.
Keep up the good work.
Matt Unsman, interim county engineer. Thanks for the pleasant words. This is the end result of work that's performed by Public Works. It takes really a Herculean effort by a lot of people to get to where we're at today. But I want to specifically thank a few individuals who are particular key to the process, and that includes Doug Curler, Steve Bricker, Becky Kahn, and Karen Weiss and her staff. I also want to thank the Sheriff's Office. They provide a lot of support in putting the reporting together that's necessary to receive this certification. Thank you.
I'm going to give them a,
Do you want a picture, Matt? Do you want a picture?
We're
And that will conclude my.
thank you. I sit on the County Road Administration Board, and this certificate is not a guarantee. And this year specifically, there were some counties who got a conditional certificate, and their certificate, might be in danger next year. So I was very thankful that Thurston County was not on that list. And so thank you so much for a job well done. Before we move forward, Lynn, we got additional proclamations. Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for the county manager?
No questions, thank you.
No? Okay, moving on to our consent agenda. There's item 3A through 3F. Go ahead, county manager.
Excuse me, there is, this morning, the board asked whether the two items on your consent agenda, the appointments for the Veterans Advisory Board was for 2 years. We confirmed that is actually the appointments for 3 years, so the new agenda reflects that. I just want to highlight that to you because that was part of your conversation this morning. So is the appointments for the items 3C and 3D on your consent reflects the 3-year appointment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the county manager?
No questions.
Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve consent items 3A through 3F.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. This is a non-debatable motion, so I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay, the consent agenda is approved. Moving on to department items. Item 4A from the Auditor's Office, approval of the voucher list.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This, for your consideration, is to approve the voucher list for the week of April 10, 2023, for a combined amount of $2,290,541.21. This particular voucher list includes expenditures related to the tenant improvements here at the atrium.
Thank you. Any questions? Commissioner Edwards?
No, ma'am.
Commissioner Menzer?
No.
There are no questions. I'm ready for a motion.
Move to approve the voucher list for the week of April 10th, 2023 for a combined amount of $2,290,541.25.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Nay.
Commissioner Menzer? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving on to Community Planning and Economic Development, item 5A, interagency agreement between Washington State University and Thurston County. And Joshua Cummings, our director.
Hello, Commissioners. I am Joshua Cummings, the Director of the Community Planning and Economic Development, otherwise known as CPED. We are pleased to be the conduit department for the relationship between WSU Extension and Thurston County. The interagency agreement between WSU Extension and Thurston County represents the formal act of affirming a positive partnership and service to the Thurston County community and the region. WSU Extension serves through programs involving agriculture, master gardeners, master recyclers, composters, SNAP-Ed, native plant salvage, and 4-H. And we have the director of WSU Extension, Stephen Bramwell, with us here today. So appreciate any comments or questions you might have. Barring that, we appreciate the action on formalizing the annual MOA or the interagency agreement. So Stephen's here if you have any questions or thoughts.
Yeah.
I think he has some remarks.
Just briefly, but yeah, thank you for the formalizing the agreement today that Josh introduced. I am always, it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm always kind of blessed to be able to represent the relationship between WSU Extension and Thurston County. We have extension programs in each county in Washington State. It's been a long-standing relationship, funded through 3 entities, federal government, through Department of Ag, and then counties, and then the states as well. So like Josh mentioned, we have these multiple programs that operate to serve the citizens of Thurston County. We've made good strides to kind of wrap together, multiple agreements that the county manages with Extension. We have a few different divisions in public health, public works, and then water resources within CPED in addition to just CPED generally. So we've wrapped in several agreements to the current contract that you're formalizing today, which is a step forward between WSU and Thurston County. The other thing that's really helpful in this agreement is we worked hard to do better to align the sort of agreement process and setting of the program expectations with the county budget process. So those are nicely lined up as well. But just to speak generally to the programs just briefly, because I think it's helpful for the citizens of the county to kind of understand your investments, which have been really generously received. Master Gardener, Recycler, Composter programs, just wrapping up their spring Master Gardener season. Looking forward to the Master Recycler Composter training, which starts up this fall and winter. Their events have pretty much been going every weekend through the spring, so they're very busy. There's 3 demonstration sites around the county, and I'm really happy to announce that it's the 50th anniversary of the Master Gardener program, so I'm happy to leave you with some seeds today that commemorate the 50th. This is a packet of seeds for bee and pollinator gardens, so I'll leave some packets of those with you and anybody else who's interested. Now, the SNAP-Ed program provides nutrition education. I commented earlier, kind of tongue-in-cheek this morning, we don't get our best information on nutrition education from commercials or from TikTok, so it's really having those viable, direct education, trusted partners in the community to provide information, is useful, and I kind of want to just point that out. They'd set up school gardens with youth, help to utilize food that's left behind after farmers markets, and help to fund school pantries as well. So this, we still have food insecure youth out there who maybe don't know how to prepare food with their families that well, but also maybe just don't have access to fresh produce. So the Water Resources Native Plant Salvage Program just finished up their plant sale last night. They do a lot of work in educating the citizens of Thurston County on water-wise gardening, rain gardens, and naturescaping, and are currently putting together with the Water Resources Program within Josh's team a hedgerow bulletin for non-point source water pollution reduction in the rural areas. So kind of expanding out of suburban and urban neighborhoods into the rural areas. 4-H program has been really expanding after the pandemic. As we all know, it's kind of shook up the volunteer cohort in a lot of different programs. But the need's no less right now than it ever has been for youth programming, especially affordable youth programming, because you can always kind of pay to get access to programs, but a lot of people, they're just left out. And so through 4-H, there's always access for youth of the county to get into productive after school or club activities. And so we've just never been seeing that need higher, and it's been really fun to kind of rebuild the volunteer cohort, which is that when I refer to volunteers, those are the parents who step up to organize clubs and organize activities, and we're really dependent on their enthusiasm and commitment. And in agriculture, we've done some work with the county distributing food, COVID recovery grants to farmers. I mentioned that earlier today. It's been really rewarding to see those reach farms and small businesses at a time when a lot of markets had the kind of floor fall through on them. and to see them recover. And currently you're supporting an ag labor recovery program as well. And so we're getting that off the ground with Pack Mountain Workforce Development. And then I work in a variety of areas with producers, and we just finished up the Southwest Washington Grazing School. And it was located in our very own Tenino, Washington. So how often we get people from all over the state and even outside the country coming in and visiting Tenino and staying in hotels. And we got some LTAC funds, so thank you for that as well. And the responses to that 3-day school over 32 hours was just overwhelmingly positive, helping people start ranch businesses and livestock production businesses. So thank you for allowing me the time. I love speaking about these programs and sharing the work that Extension does with your support. Any questions?
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Do you work with the Volunteer Stewardship Program and Conservation District?
Work very closely with the Conservation District, and they're really the lead on the VSP, but when we do work to identify practices that could be compatible with, like, say, sensitive habitat, you know, we do that through a program with the Southwest Washington Grazing Association looking at conservation grazing. So I'm more kind of practice specific, and then the TCD really manages that VSP program. But we work with them on a load of different educational programs, Commissioner Edwards.
Okay, keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Oh, Commissioner Menser, did you have, no, okay.
Commissioner Menser, do you have any questions?
No,
Are you sure?
When do I get my seeds?
Where should I put them?
Yeah,
What's-
I want to see some of that.
Should I just bring them up?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll spread them out and people can take them. Thanks.
It is seeding season, and it's 70 degrees out there. I know that's kind of painful.
Thank you, Stephen.
Welcome.
Thank you, Stephen. Okay. Okay, thank you for that great presentation, Stephen, and for your partnership. I'm ready for a motion, sir.
Okay, I move to approve the interagency agreement between Thurston County and Washington State University for a total of $173,072 for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2023. Authorizing the chair of the Board of County Commissioners to sign the agreement and the county manager to execute any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, next item, item 5B is Thurston 2045 scope of work. Maya? Maya, we can't hear you.
Still cannot hear you. Maybe your headphones are.
I'm sorry about that. Let me try.
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Good afternoon, Commissioners. For the record, Maya Teeple, Senior Planner with Community Planning. This item on your agenda today is to request that the Board of County Commissioners adopt by resolution a scope of work for Thurston County's periodic update to the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan describes the long-term vision for Thurston County and looks ahead to set the direction for growth over the next 20 years. Thurston County plans under the Growth Management Act, RCW 3670A, and is required to periodically conduct a review of the comprehensive plan and our development regulations to ensure they're consistent with new changes in state law. This next periodic update is due June 30th of 2025. The scope of work was developed based on the Washington State Department of Commerce checklists for fully planning counties, local trends, changes in state law, public input received from a survey that went out in winter of 2022, and also public comment that we've received along the way. A draft scope of work was reviewed by the Thurston County Planning Commission over 2 meetings before they provided a recommendation on each of the optional updates included in the draft scope of work. And the Board of County Commissioners reviewed the draft scope of work and the Planning Commission's recommendation over 2 meetings in March and April. At agenda setting on April 18th, the Board of County Commissioners provided direction to include all of the optional updates in the final scope of work for the periodic update. The final scope of work that's included with this agenda item and the attached resolution focuses on completing the required elements that we under state law to ensure consistency with any changes, and also includes 6 strategic optional updates that focus on addressing current information and needs within the county. And those strategic updates are included in the scope of work that's attached with resolution. And they include creating a new implementation plan, a future land use update, incorporating findings from the countywide industrial land study, creating a new climate change element, and then updating the economic element and updating the health element. There are also a number of required elements that are included in the scope of work that bring our comprehensive plan up to speed with any changes in state law. That concludes my remarks today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
You cut out a little bit during part of your presentation. Was that the planning committee? How did the planning commission vote on this?
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. The Planning Commission provided a threshold recommendation for each of the optional elements that are included. And just running through those really quickly, the implementation plan had 8 for and 0 against. The future land use update had 6 for and 2 against. The countywide industrial land study finding had 7 for and 1 against. The climate change element had 7 for and 1 against. And then the economic and health element both had 5 for and 3 against. But the Planning Commission also provided a recommendation that they felt it was important that all pieces of the plan be open to changes, even if there was not a robust update included on them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Menser? Okay, there's no more.
Motion.
Commissioner Edwards, you ready for a motion, sir?
I am. I would move to approve the resolution adopting a scope of work for the comprehensive plan periodic update.
I'll second the motion. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Moving on to item 5C is set a public hearing to consider a resolution to amend the 6-year capital improvement program for 2023 through 2028. Andrew?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Andrew Braun here with Community Planning. Staff are requesting the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. to consider public comments on a resolution to amend Appendix G of the 6-year capital improvement program to add the project State Road 507 and Vale Road Southeast roundabout. In addition to setting the public hearing, staff are requesting the board waive the 20-day noticing requirement for the public hearing pursuant to resolution number 10102. Thurston County requires a 20-day noticing period prior to public hearings, consistent with Thurston County Code. However, the Board of County Commissioners may waive a 20-day noticing requirement. When the commissioners provide a waiver, a minimum of 10-day noticing period will still take place consistent with Thurston County Code. The Planning Commission will review this item at a work session on May 3rd. A public hearing is tentatively planned for May 17th. A SEPA determination of non-significance was issued on this proposal on April 28th. The Board of County Commissioners was briefed during an agenda setting on April 25th, and I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
No questions, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Menser?
No.
Okay, no questions for me. I'm ready for a motion.
Move to set a public hearing for May 23rd, 2023 at 3:30 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter may be heard in room 110 of 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast to consider public comment on a resolution to amend Appendix G of the 6-year capital improvement program to add State Route 507 and Vale Road Southeast Roundabout Project, CP 61566, and waive the 20-day public notice requirement for public hearings pursuant to resolution number 10102.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Menser? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye. Okay. Information technology, item 6A, renewal of annual maintenance for Questica.
Hello, thank you. Sherry Ilg, IT Director. I'm seeking authorization to renew our Questica maintenance agreement in the amount of $66,891.86. We have used Questica throughout the county since 2016 to support our county budget. This amount has been budgeted for 2023, and it is in our IT rates. Can I answer any questions for you?
Questions, Commissioner Edwards?
Does this cover, I know it's not the proper term, but I call it an extortion fee that kind of usually goes along with this. Is that covering that annual fee for licensing that we're required to?
Yes, in order to continue using the software, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah?
No.
No questions for me either. I'm ready for a motion, sir.
Move to approve the one-year renewal of the Questica budget development software for current service extension and authorize the IT director to pay Questica maintenance in the amount of $66,891.86 and any amendment to do not exceed 10%.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah? Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, moving to our last department item from Public Works, item 7A. Set a public hearing to consider a resolution to amend the 6-year transportation improvement program for 2023 through 2028.
So this item is almost exactly the same as item 5C, and Andrew did a good job of presenting the item, but just Public Works is requesting that the Board of County Commissioners set a public hearing for May 23rd, 2023 to consider approving a resolution to amend the 2023-2028 Transportation Improvement Program to add the State Route 507 and Vale Road Roundabout Project. So if you have any questions, I'm here to help.
Any questions?
No questions for the public. If they have any questions, they can review some of our work sessions, plenty of discussions on this topic. Thank you, ma'am.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah? Okay, I'm ready for a motion, sir.
I move to set a public hearing for May 23rd, 2023 at 3:30 PM or soon thereafter, the matter may be heard in room 110, 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, to accept and consider public comment on a resolution to amend the 6-year transportation improvement program for the calendar years 2023 to 2028, and to add State Route 507 and Vale Road Southeast Roundabout Project, CP 61566, and waive the 20-day public notice requirement for public hearings pursuant to resolution number 10102.
Second?
So moved and seconded. Any discussion?
No, ma'am.
I'll call for the vote.
Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Commissioner Mensah?
Aye.
Commissioner Mejia?
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to our standing items. Item 8A, Commissioners will report on board work sessions and assigned committee meetings, providing updates and actions taken as well as upcoming issues. Commissioner Edwards.
Okay, we've got 2 weeks worth of activities, so I'm not gonna throw them all in there, but Animal Services last night had their monthly meeting, and I just wanna warn my seatmates, they're gonna hear a considerable amount of discussion about a facility that does not meet the needs of Animal Services. And there is discussion, exploring millions of dollars in new construction, possibly not at that location. So you might ask, well, how's the funding mechanism, because we're partners with other jurisdictions? All of that is yet to be determined, including the total amount. And there's a hesitancy about putting any more work into that facility and any more dollars into that facility. We recently, I believe about 2 weeks ago, finished the sewer upgrade system so that the sewage could make it to the system because the line had collapsed. And It's a very old building, very old infrastructure, and actually, they've already had one other blowout on the plumbing side of things since the repair 2 weeks ago. So anyway, it's not very functional, and I just mentioned that. There's more to come. And I know it'll give you a headache, so I thought I'd give you a heads up. If you have any particular questions right now, but more to come.
Do you want to talk about the 147 cats?
Well, yeah, there was 147 cats taken in a abuse situation. Although not all of them were abused, and they're really struggling to find, some of them were well cared for, other than maybe they're a little hungry. And so if anybody wants to do any adopting, there's plenty of cats to adopt right now. There's the tiniest of babies up to older adults. So there's a whole spectrum, and they're farming them out. Lisa, one of our the local veterinarians that's on the animal control committee with me, has taken some in at her clinic, and others are doing something like that. And there's many adoptions going on, so it's a problem. Yeah, you want to do foster?
Well, no, you can foster.
Yeah.
If you nominate, no.
I thought maybe you wanted to foster some. Anyway, and you can do foster. You don't have to take them home. And I wouldn't doubt that some of them would qualify for the barn cat program. And that also is beneficial for those folks in the ag fields that want to make sure that the rats are caught. So I didn't know I'd go that long on that. Anyway, the DNR tour with my seatmates, I'll let somebody else talk about that. I welcomed a group from that came to interact with our EDC, Economic Development Council, and that group was from Africa, and there were several countries involved, and they all spoke French, so it must have been from some of the original French colonies. That was quite interesting to have a welcoming presentation and have an interpreter interpret everything that you were saying. And those folks are chattering in about 3 or 4 different languages all the time. And I felt very quite inadequate, because I really never did master the English language completely. And here they're talking on about 4 different languages almost simultaneously. And boy, that'll give you a headache trying to figure it all out. Anyway, but it was well received, and looking forward to working with those folks. The EDC board meeting was last Wednesday, and just nothing earth-shaking there, just doing their good work, if you will. Mason County Sheriff's Office breakfast last Friday. Thurston County Fire Commissioners, the EMS Council, Thurston Mason Behavioral Health Administrative Services Governing Board, and I believe I've already commented to Commissioner Menser that we've got an issue that we're working on housing. Steady, the Nisqually River Council, and typical constituent issues. So I'll let it go with that. Thank you.
Commissioner Menser.
Okay, I'm just double checking. Yeah, so it's 2 weeks worth, but I spent a good period of that getting my throat sliced up, but that all went well. And I did squeeze in the Thurston County Volunteer Legal Services event this morning, the DNR meeting yesterday. I attended the State Building Code Council meeting, my first one there. Met with Representative Glusenkamp Perez from District 3, who I have not yet met personally, but I met one of her staffers, about mutual interest down in South County. And then preparation for next week, I'll be in Washington DC on behalf of Puget Sound restoration efforts and representing local governments on Puget Sound. I kind of got drafted for this privilege by my boss over here, but also my role in the Salmon Recovery Council for Puget Sound Partnership. So that should be very interesting. Never had a chance to do something like that.
Thank you for representing us. going to be, I think, pretty awesome and a great opportunity. So I really appreciate it.
Thanks
Well-
for covering my WASAC meeting.
Board of Directors. I did the same thing in an effort to save time. I did a lot of the same events that my seatmates have done. I attended Partners for Children, Youth, and Families, and we had a really great presentation. The Regional Housing Council, we had an update on the Franz Anderson site and how that's moving forward, and Keely gave a good update on that this morning. I did the racial equity program manager interviews with the county manager as well as with other staff member, and Cheryl Haywood from the Timberland Regional Library joined us in those meetings, and intercity transit. Not much to report on that one. Yeah, okay. So with that, we'll move on to review the Board of County Commissioners schedule for the week of May 2nd, 2023.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me run through your combined schedule for the upcoming week, where at least 2 commissioners will be present. You may have individual appointments on your individual calendars. Those will not be part of my report. Here in the next 3 minutes, at 3:30, you have a public hearing related to the open space tax program for farm and agricultural conservation lands. Moving on to this Friday, May 5th, you have invited to the JRT meeting. I don't know if any commissioners will be attending. You have been invited to participate on that. That will be the Jail Resources Team meeting. At 5 in the afternoon, Friday, May 5th, you have been invited to participate on the Home First Real Community Heroes Awards and Celebration. And that is going to be held at 4200 Capitol Boulevard, Suite 104 in Tumwater. Sunday, May 7th.
My manager can just.
Is that thundering voice? That's what it's called. Sorry.
Okay.
And Sunday, May 7th at 1 in the afternoon, you have been invited to participate on the Dispute Resolution Center celebration for Peacemakers. It's going to be located at Lacey Community Center at 6729 Pacific Avenue Southeast in Lacey. Next week, Monday, May 8th, at 9 in the morning, you have a continued conversation on the request related to the budget amendment for 2023. At noon, you have your standing meeting with the Washington State Association of Counties. And at 6 in the afternoon, May 8th, you have been invited to participate on the Operations Recruit Enlistment Dinner. And that is going to be located at St. Martin's University at the, located at 5300 Pacific Avenue Southeast in Lacey. And then Tuesday, May 9th, you will convene here at 9:15 in the morning for your regular agenda setting. And in the afternoon, you have your Board of County Commissioners at 2 in the afternoon, followed by at 4:30 with the regular Board of Health. And that's all I have for you. We have 30 seconds to spare.
Thank you. Okay, so with that, we will adjourn. We have a public hearing for open space tax program update farm and agricultural conservation lands eligibility criteria, starting here in around 30 seconds. But we'll go ahead and take a short break, and we'll be right back.